Hey guys, when I was a kid, pretty much every old guy had one of these either on their pocket or on their keys, and that's one of these TL29 electrician's knives. Just a very simple single blade knife with a flathead screwdriver. Little bail on the end, brass liners. These are heavy, big, very useful things. I remember pretty much everybody having one of these. Now let's skip to the modern era, and most people are going to tell you that the Swiss Army knife has replaced the TL29, and I can agree to that somewhat. But one of the issues with the Swiss Army knife is that they often have a ton of gadgets, and their smaller ones tend to have really flimsy blades, which is really kind of unfortunate, because I'd really like to have a smaller one that really just has like the screwdriver bit and the blade, but it also has a pretty substantial blade to it. Now enter Sanrenmu, and they're making essentially what is a Swiss Army knife, but they're doing it a little more in the style of the old TL29s. And this model here is the WA611, and they make all different models, guys, so don't think this is the only one. They make them with different tools and all that, but this one is the one that most closely resembled the old TL29. Of course, it's smaller, it's a tiny little knife, much lighter, but it's very simple, just like the TL29. You have a very simple flathead screwdriver, a little cord cutter there, which actually works, tested it out, it needs to be sharpened, and then a little can opener. But this is actually fairly strong, you can see it's a fairly thick and fairly robust little tool, and is actually quite useful. A little more useful than those little tiny drivers on your Swiss Army knife. The blade is a little bit bigger than what you get on your average Swiss Army knife. Came very sharp out of the box and is made of 12C 27 Sandvik steel, which is a good Swedish steel. And you're saying, okay, wait a minute, where have I heard that before? We're not focusing. But this is the steel that is used in the stainless steel Mora knives. So obviously it's a fairly decent steel. No, it's not as good as their carbon steel Moras, but this steel here is actually a really decent Swedish steel. It's not the best on the earth. It's not by any means VG10 or any of the modern super steels, but it's a good all-around steel. I actually feel like it performs better than the 8CR13 MOV and 440 and AUS8. Now, maybe that's just me and the kind of use I put it through, but I do like it. I do like the steel. It sharpens very easy, takes a very good razor edge, and it's pretty tough too. Everything I've read about the steel is that its ability to withstand impact and all that and wear is a lot better than a lot of the inexpensive steels. So what we have here is, and I got this for essentially $12, is a very inexpensive budget version of the big old heavy TL29, which by modern standards is a little big, a little heavy for your average person. Now, for those people who just don't care for the Swiss Army knife, I think this is a great alternative. And they do make these with different tools. There's some that come with scissors, some with tweezers, glass breakers. They make all different stuff. The only problem with this knife is availability. They're very difficult to find, and typically you're only going to find them on eBay and a few of the overseas resellers. And so they're very difficult to find, and it's oftentimes very difficult because these things are translated to know exactly what each model has, so you kind of have to rely on the pictures. But so I just wanted the simple blade screwdriver combo. It's small, it's lightweight, fits in the pocket well. I have mine attached to my keys, and I've been carrying this for about a month now, and I found it to be pretty tough. I've actually done a lot of cutting with this. You can see, we got a lot of gunk on the blade there, but that's no big deal. I've already sharpened this twice. Like I said, it's not a perfect steel. This isn't a good high-end, it's not one of the super steels. So with regular everyday use, you're going to have to sharpen this pretty regularly. But it goes very quickly. Just literally touch this up on a diamond stone, and I was done in like 2 minutes. Stropped it for another minute or two, and I was good. So you can see here, what you have is Torx bits holding this all together, and I believe these are G10 scales. You have pretty thick liners in there as well. You can see for how the knife is, there's pretty thick liners. The springs are pretty decent. You can see it has pretty good sound to that. So good strong back springs in there, nice and strong. Everything about it's built fairly well. You know, Sanrenmu's are known for being pretty decent quality for the money they're putting out. Decent stuff. I mean, no, this is not, you know, the biggest, craziest knife you're ever going to own, but I think it is slightly superior to the Swiss Army knife. And I'm saying slightly. You're talking not much at all, guys. This is, you know, but what I think it does gain is the scales are better. You don't have those very slippery red scales that come with the Victorinox. I think you get a better blade with better steel. I think you get a little better quality in the screwdriver. You know, the Swiss Army screwdrivers do leave a little something to be wanting there. You know, this is a little thicker, a little bigger, plus they're smart enough to add the rope cutter and the bottle opener all onto that one little tool, so it is pretty handy, pretty useful, and very small enough and light enough where it can easily go on a keychain, almost unnoticed. You can also carry it in your pocket. They do make a bigger version. It's like the WA711. There's actually some code as to how these are numbered, like the WA6 implies the length, which is like 6 centimeters or whatever, and then the 7 is 7, and then the model number 11, 21, 23 designates which tools are on it. So there is this whole code. Big problem is finding these things very difficult. So you do have to hunt around, and you are going to have to purchase them overseas to find them. But overall, cool thing, interesting, and I definitely think I might be picking up 1 or 2 more of these just to check them out, because I do like them, and I do think, like I said, I think I do like these just a hair better than the Swiss Army.